Mm, nom 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 nom. Oi.
Hello, my name is Paulina and I'm an eataholic. Welcome back to this channel, Tikva Hobbies, about knitting and crocheting. I'm currently working on quite a large project. We'll finish it in a week or two maximum. And now, not to leave you without a new podcast video, I decided to make a video of my hand knit socks and a pair of stockings. I'll also show you my favorite knitting needles and tell you about the yarn that I use and love. All the yarn that I've used is 4-ply because I like my socks to be rather thin and comfortable. And now a little disclaimer, even though I tried to remove most of the peeling from the socks, these are all worn and they don't look as good as new. Just if you're sensitive to this, you've been warned. So grab yourself your favorite drink, your knitting, get yourself comfortable, and let's see them in detail. My very first socks, oh my goodness, I knitted them when I was at high school about 15 years ago. The yarn is No Name, left from my great-grandma. It must be a blend of wool and some synthetic. There was no tag, so you cannot tell now. I knitted them using 5 double-pointed needles, size 2.5 millimeters or 3, no record left. The funny thing is, one sock is made the way my mom showed me, and the other one was worked according to a YouTube tutorial. This is the first sock. I knitted it like my mom showed me and then put it aside. Then I decided to learn something new and found a tutorial. I wish I could find and link it. I'm very grateful. Learned a few things like a Kitchener stitch here, symmetrical decreases, a rather nice neat gusset, also a strengthened heel flap. So the first sock, by the way, has a simple neat heel flap and radial decreases at the toe. I don't wear these anymore much, just keep them as a memory. Not a bad beginning. These are from 2018. The yarn is Debbie Bliss Realta Luxury Soak. 54 grams, by the way, half a ball. The rest went to knit the outer part of this hat, this beanie. Mixed with alpaca, by the way. Actually, I need to make a video of all my hats. They are way more numerous than my socks. So back to this. So the needles were 2.5 millimeter double pointed needles. I don't have these here now, but they're nothing special, just Teflon coated needles kept at my mom's place. Well, as you can see, these socks are mismatching and I rather like it. What I would change now is probably knit them a bit tighter. I would also strengthen the heel. And definitely use another yarn. Basically, I would change everything. So it's really beautiful gradient sock yarn, very soft, but probably not for everyday wear. I used to wear these quite a lot and I still do. And peeling, as you can see, starts very soon. The socks felt quickly as well and might lose shape, and you can see these creases. So maybe not the best yarn for socks. However, I can definitely recommend it for shawls. It's the softest sock yarn I've ever tried so far, so for a shawl, that would be a perfect choice. Love the color, though. The color is lovely. You see, they are totally mismatching, but I can easily tell left from right. These are also from 2018. They are the most often worn ones. I definitely need to knit another pair like this for next season, as I wear them with hiking boots. They are rather high socks, so actually they're the best. I wear them in nasty weather. They might be slightly thinner at the heel right now, as they are often worn, but there are no holes yet. The yarn is Alize Superwash in color black. Not the softest yarn, but very durable, as you can see. Of course, there is some peeling and they don't look as good as new. Still, the socks were knitted toe up, starting with Judy's cast on, without any gusset in here, as they are rather wide, 72 stitches. That's pretty wide for me. Then goes 2x2 ribbon and a rather loose cast off with yarn overs, as I remember, well, if I remember correctly. The brim is usually visible when I wear them with boots. I might wear them like this, so these go on top of the boots, and I pretty much like them. Definitely need to knit another pair like this. Oh, I remember these ones pretty well. Also from 2018, a sock year for me. These socks were a test of patience. I cut the yarn wherever I didn't like the color change, if the colors didn't change as I wanted, and I had to weave in endless tails. I can't even tell you the number, a lot of them. The socks were knitted from top to toe. My favorite twisted German cast on, then 1x1 twisted rib, boomerang heel, but I knitted it without any short rows, with a gusset and the regular toe, so nothing special in here. The problem were the yarn ends, so it took me a few hours maybe. As for the yarn, that was Nako Boho. If we compare with Alize, I like Alize more. These peel more, although they feel a bit more woolly, if it makes sense. Just, yeah, they do, but also they're not as soft as Alize. Sock yarn. Yeah, but and the peeling, yeah, and they start felting easily as well. Well, even though I love them, and they took me a while with all those yarn tails. And then there were stockings. I love them. Still not sure if I have enough patience to knit another pair, but they're gorgeous. Knitting stockings is like knitting a sweater on fine needles. That's a lot of work. I used a pattern called Peppy Socks by Masha Ziparova. I will share a link to Ravelry in the description below. By the way, she makes amazing lace socks and stockings patterns. I highly recommend. These are lovely. So I used Drops Fabel sock yarn, around 4 balls, so that's about 200 grams, and Higher Sharp 2.5 millimeters circular needles. And both stockings were knitted at the same time, so 2 at a time. And you can see there is an elastic thread at the top, but last autumn I also added 4 crocheted loops here and here, so 2 on each stocking, to wear them with garter straps, and that was an ingenious idea, as the stockings don't slip down at all. So even though there is some elastic thread on my legs, they tend to slip down. Yes, they could slip down a bit. And I wear them on top of usual stockings to keep my knees warm in winter. Love them and still cherish the masochistic thought of knitting even finer stockings in the future. Maybe one day, who knows. Then come 2 pairs of socks knitted for my husband. We have a tradition. I knit a pair for him every Christmas and New Year season. The red ones were made for 2020. The grey ones for his birthday, autumn 2021. In December 2021, I didn't use sock yarn and there were holes in the socks by April. Lesson learned, so I always try and use sock yarn, although they were a very beautiful emerald green, but obviously with the holes they were so big we couldn't mend them and had to get rid of them. So the yarn is Alize Superwash, a full ball for a pair. The needles I used were Higher Sharp 2.25 millimeters. I used a free pattern called Groove Socks by Lisa. I'll share her Instagram link in the description below. She also has some patterns on Ravelry, but I couldn't find these there, although she has them in Instagram somewhere. So they're possible to find. At least if you search the hashtag Groove Socks, I guess you might find them. The only difference is that I cast on 84 stitches instead of 72, but I'm a tight knitter and these are men's socks, so it's all right. Especially since he prefers wearing a thin cotton sock underneath. So cotton socks and then woolen socks. In winter, of course. Interestingly enough, the grey socks are slightly looser. I guess that's probably because the red ones were knitted simultaneously, 2 socks at a time. And maybe I knitted them a bit tighter. Or it might be the yarn itself, so probably a bit thicker in the red ones and thinner in the grey ones. I don't know. Otherwise they are identical, and as you can see, pretty often worn. There is some peeling, but well, it's okay. These are worn inside boots. That's fine for them. And by the way, here's another pair of socks where a pattern by the same designer was used. However, they were knitted not by me, but by my mother. I like this pattern. I like the way the heel is worked. Look, it's quite interesting. So just follows the anatomy of our feet because it is worked in an interesting way. Well, why do I wear them? They shrank a little bit and they are too small for my mom, so these are mine now. And well, aren't they beautiful? Just wanted to show you this beautiful pattern. Love them, and they're really good on your feet. Yeah, they are really nice. These are my favorite socks for wearing at home from 2020. The yarn is Acrobalena. It's bobbin yarn, and the socks weigh 80 grams. Well, there is nothing special here. Again, twisted German cast on, 1x1 twisted rib, stockinette, strengthened heel flap, the gusset, decreases, and Kitchener stitch. So nothing special in here. I love the color, and the only drawback of this yarn, it's nearly impossible to knit identical socks in certain colorways, but at least you can tell left from right, and these are worn at home, so I don't mind. The yarn feels woolly to the touch. Still, it's rather soft and durable, and I can't say there is a lot of peeling on them, so lovely socks. Let me show you the other one. They're so bright, and they always make me smile when I wear them. And now I should probably tell you a few words about the needles I use. I really love HireHire as a brand, and their needles, interchangeable or like these ones, just simple circular needles. These are 2.5 millimeters, and the ends are not sharp. It's the variation called HireHire Steel, 2.5 millimeters. The cable is 80 centimeters long. These are 2.25 millimeter needles. The cable is 100, and it's 100 centimeters, and it's thinner, and it's perfect for magic loop. Most of my socks I knit on these ones. And here is another pair. That's Ardi Crazy Trio. They were a present from my mom. The size is 2.5 millimeters. The tips are not sharp, but still they're pretty nice to use. Although I prefer using magic loop when I knit socks. This pair was knitted using these 3 needles. Pretty nice. So I've tried all of these and still use them depending on the yarn. Then there were socks knitted as presents, and I obviously cannot show them to you now. I still have quite a lot of balls of yarn, sock yarn, so I'm going to knit some more socks next season. If you've never knitted socks, give them a try. They are practical, they don't take long to make, and you can have a lot of fun as there are thousands of patterns available online. If you are a sock knitter, please share your favorite brands of yarn sock yarn in the comments below. I bet it will be useful for me and for other viewers as the choice is so wide. So please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials, reviews and knitting podcasts. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye!